too. It's part of the screening process.
They want to let people know, like, don't come in here playing around with people.
Yeah, exactly. It is part of the screening process. You're right.
Asking you for all types of stuff. Most people will look down.
But I think one of the other things people don't realize is, well, you know, some of these certifications, you do have to renew, you know, just because it's not one and done, you know. So you do have to renew them, and the reason people ask me that, why? You know, I said, because your business could change.
It changes.
You know, you own it, and then you could bring in a partner. Now you no longer own it 100%. You know what I mean? So
actually have a story about that one too.
So we're big behind. So okay, Joanne, Mary, yeah.
Because most of them go to.
All right, we'll get to work. I think I'll leave the door open because it's big warm.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Basically, you can't be certified unless the business is 51% owned.
Oh, wait, you guys tell us something about yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
Please. You know, so this is Marion Nielsen and Joanne Peterson.
Morning.
And we're with Avatar.
Yes.
Explain what that is to everybody, please.
We are an IT services company, 35 years old, always been woman-owned since day one. And we've gone through the certification process from the standpoint of when it was one-page form.
No supporting documentation. Just like
Just a one-page, literally a one-page form to 1.5 inches of paperwork every 3 years. And because we saw so much difficulty in the process, particularly before they re-standardized the Unified Certification Program, which is offered by the state through the Department of Transportation. The woman in Montana told us it is one program with 53 implementations. Your story about a reviewer subjectively deciding what a sentence meant, imagine that 53 times by however many certification analysts are employed by each certifying agency. So it is very time-consuming and subjective process from their perspective as well as yours.
And, no, well, it says right there to be 51% owned, operated, and controlled by minorities or women. There's also disabled certification, LGBT, veterans, and someday I'm sure the AARP is going to do old people certification. So the certification process is actually twofold because the business itself is being certified as having the capability to provide its products and or services. And we always like this, my favorite example we give is if you're a pretzel maker and they come for your site visit and you don't have the equipment to make pretzels, you're not going to get certified.
So if you were saying you're a truck business, like this lady here, and they come and they don't see a truck. Correct?
Right.
Am I saying, did you have a site visit?
Yeah, a lot of
Did they ask you truck?
I've never had a site visit, no. But I've had like people with, construction business is a very cutthroat business. So you'll have people call there and say, oh, she doesn't have a trucks anymore, she sold them. Things like that. So that can actually affect your certification.
Interesting.
Yes. And then obviously that the owner possesses the knowledge and skill to run the business and meets whatever the definition that you're going for. If you're going for minority, if you're going for women, if you're going for veteran, that you are in fact that. Okay.
So when you break down the federal spend goals, that's basically what they are. 23% for small business, 5% for minority, 5% for women, 3% for Hub Zone, which is that SBA program based on your address. That was kind of an interesting one because not only does your business have to be in the Hub Zone, 35% of your employees have to live in a Hub Zone.
Doesn't have to be the same one, just a hub zone.
And then
Hub Zone mean?
It's a designated area. It used to be either rural or like a area where it used to be like a large steel mill might have closed down, so it's become distressed. They now do census tracts as well based on the community, because for a long time, Wilkinsburg, for example, because it was never rural and it was never in a manufacturing area that had like closed down, Wilkinsburg wasn't considered hub zone. But because they started doing census tracking, it is considered a hub zone now.
So underdeveloped communities,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So basically it's an incentive to get businesses into those communities.
right now, I mean, you'd be looking Wilkinsburg, Homewood, what's down by the river?
Hazelwood?
Hazelwood, thank you. I was gonna go for Homestead, but I think Homestead's out of the hub.
No, it's out.
Yeah.
They used to be.
Yeah.
They realigned them in the last 6 months as well,
Yeah.
you know, because the census does change.
Yeah, every 10
populations,
years with the census, they'll make adjustments, so.
And all of the terms, the types of certifications and the acronyms that we're throwing around are in the 2-page.
Glossary.
Here's what's in fact, that certification type should be the first one.
No, 8 is.
Yeah, but I mean, the first thing on the handout, so
Yeah.
I was gonna
Oh, you
make
wanted to-
another
Okay.
point there.
Okay.
At this point, the government does not necessarily recognize the certifications for people with disabilities, the LGBT certification. And they don't necessarily recognize just veterans, they recognize service-disabled veteran certification. That seems to be changing at a government level, but commercial customers recognize these other certifications. And in fact, right now, the disability certification is a big draw, if you will. We were at the National Women's Business Enterprise meeting in Detroit last month. And the customers that wanted to meet with us didn't want to meet with us because we were WBE certified. They wanted to meet with us because we were disability certified. It's like, oh, who knew? So that was just something we learned recently.
Is that because they had a quota to meet in that area?
Maybe.
They're not, we can tell you, they're not really, if they have their own projected spend goals, they're not meeting them.
All right.
Can I just, explain to them how there are certain bids, like with government contracts, that are earmarked? for
Right.
Distinct certification, you know, like, so it's not just like bids go out, they don't just ask, sometimes they're
Yeah.
earmarked for.
Set asides.
Right,
Set asides, and that happens with the 8A program, that happens with Hub Zone, that happens with the
All
woman-owned
of
small
them.
business,
Oh,
and the service-disabled veteran most often. There can be set asides for the other types, but those are the ones most often.
Well, you'll notice that they have goals. And
Let me go back to that.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think the only goal they've actually met with consistency is the general small business goal.
Yeah, they've met the
All the
woman-owned goal once, and then the very next year they didn't meet it again.
Yeah. That was like 2 years ago, I think they met it.
Yeah.
You're talking about overall for the US government?
Yes.
Yeah. And in fact, as we get further down, I think it's, go ahead to the next slide.
Okay.
This particular slide is what happened in 2017. The percentages, that was 105.7 billion. I thought it was interesting to know how many contracts that was actually involved. Not very many contracts when you think about that much money, is it? Nobody met, well, the overall small business goal includes everything, so I guess they did meet their 23%.
Yeah.
But they did not meet anybody else, any other goals. There, no 5% there,
Except for the DBE.
except for the DBE. Sorry, they met the DBE goal, which would be your UCP program, because that's a disadvantaged business enterprise.
And the UCP just explains to them about them.
Oh, Unified Certification Program is what the acronym stands for. And you'll find that also in your glossary because we'll be throwing out acronyms. And if you have a question about them, just raise your hand and
And
we'll.
that's the one for this
Explain it.
state.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
through Allegheny County or the Department of Transportation.
So as you go through each one, can you explain how we can use target words, sentences, phrases, or conversations that the person on the other end might not understand why it's an advantage to...
You mean why the customer, why your customer?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of them, so I was, as you go through the different certifications, maybe you can say, you know, this is what's going on in the county or the state,
Right.
and how we can use that, because, you know, as I go for the veteran certification, a lot of the people that I want to partner with, they don't understand how it can benefit them to
Okay.
have.
Actually, I think that's, I'm not sure which slide that is, but I know we get to that.
okay.
I don't know that we specifically, because the government's had difficulty meeting some of these goals, they've pushed it down to their suppliers, their prime contractors, which is why you'll see, if you're working for a general contractor, I'm assuming dump trucks, you're not the general contractor, you're hauling stuff. So you're subcontract to a prime vendor. So now they're required to help meet those goals, those diversity spend goals. And so here's another $156.2 billion from 2017 and how it was spent.
And as you can see, the subs are doing a little bit better than the government itself in meeting goals.
In the 8A program, which is a business development program by the SBA, and that's a one and done program. You have,
looking at that application for like 3 years, and I'm just like,
you know, it's really no different than the UCP application, except for you gotta have a marketing plan, you gotta have a business plan, and you have to do that social and economic disadvantaged narrative, which most people fall down on that narrative. Because we're entrepreneurs here, we go over, through, around, past, whatever, those blockades are not in our frame of reference, so it's the hardest thing to write is the line, as I call it.
And we were actually rejected the first time because of that. And so then,
Because I couldn't write the, oh, poor me narrative. But this is the 8A program, the awards for 2017.
And that lasts 9 years?
That's a
9-year
9-year program.
And like we said, it's one and done, as in the business can never be involved again, and the owner can never. So if you started another business, you couldn't try to get that business 8A certified if you had already had a business that was 8A certified.
Because Avatar is a graduate of the 8A program, neither Andrew nor Marion, who are my children and involved in the business, can start another business that goes through the 8A program.
Because we were owners when we were in the program.
They were owners when they were too young to know what that meant, because my dad put some of his stock in their names. So these are the top federal agencies that spent, had top scores in the diversity spend. I don't know if you can read all of them. Department of Labor. GSA is usually a real big one. The Small Business Administration is one of the biggest users of diversity spend, which you would kind of expect when you think about it, since they're here to promote us. Homeland Security, Department of the Interior, that one kind of surprised me when I saw it, and Personnel Management, Department of Commerce. Who did I miss? Nuclear Regulatory, whatever, Commission, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
In the Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah.
HUD. And HUD has their own certification at Section 3. And that is, they've readjusted how your eligibility for it. It's your business criteria is either 51% of the business is owned by Section 3 residents, 30% of the business current full-time staff meets the definition of a Section 3 resident, or the business shows evidence of commitment to provide 25% of the total dollar amount of subcontract in Section 3.
Yeah, Judy,
Yeah.
Judy, the BRC here do Section 3 certification. Yeah.
So if you need help with them, talk to Judy if that's of interest to you.
So one of the things, and you should probably get into this, so
Yeah.
the federal government obviously have percentages that they have to meet, but every state does as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so that's,
Yeah.
because a lot of,
There isn't
a lot
any-
of our clients don't bid on federal contracts, or
Right.
even work with, or sub, or even work with prime. It's usually state projects or city of Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh
projects.
projects.
Yeah,
And
so
at
that's,
this
yeah,
point,
yeah.
there
Yeah.
aren't even many commercial customers that don't have spend goals.
Okay,
They may not have formal supplier diversity programs, but they usually have some kind of commitment to diverse spend
okay.
in
But
their
the- But the
procurement.
state of PA or the city of Pittsburgh, I think a lot of the clients.
The
probably-
county.
Yeah, the county.
And you also have to think of
Swissvale Borough, I mean,
So what is the state's percentages?
they all tend to follow the federal
Federal
guideline, that's
Okay.
why we start with the federal guideline.
guidelines. And a lot of it also ties back to the fact that, for example, we know this because of work we did with the state of Illinois, for their child support enforcement program.
Yes.
They got so much money back from the feds because they were doing so well in reporting, and tracking their child support. And so, because the states get federal money, again, that's sort of why they mirror the
Okay.
federal
And the
goals.
same with your county government or your city government, if they've
'Cause
got
they're
federal
mirroring the
funds
state.
coming in.
They're mirroring the state goals and the federal goals based on, it all goes back to where the money comes from.
And if your commercial customer has state, any kind of government funding, let's just talk about Blue Cross, and they process Medicare. So guess what?
Yeah.
Blue Cross Highmark has spend goals to match the federal government.
Okay.
So does UPMC, so does,
Okay.
and that's speaking of commercial clients, there's this organization called the $1 Billion Roundtable. There's a handout that tells you who's a member of that, but there's a whole bunch more money that's counted in terms of supplier diversity spending. And when we say first tier, that also means prime contractors. Oh, we do have the slides.
There's the slide of who's a part of the $1 Billion Roundtable.
Yeah. And they meet every year to talk about what they feel are best practices in supplier diversity. So this is actually new. There's an organization called CVM Solutions, and they survey the supplier diversity community to find out why they do what they do. You know, what is it that drives the supplier diversity programs? The top three were social responsibility, corporate culture, and customer requirements. I'm surprised customer requirements isn't number one, frankly, because we're all customers of somebody. And who they buy from should mirror who they sell to. At least that's my personal opinion. Sorry, I got on my soapbox. So, this is a big pie. But you can't get it unless you're certified. I mean, you can sell to anybody without certification, but you can't be counted. You can't help them meet their goals unless you have a certification. Yeah, in fact, there was a report this week, last week, the new WOSB set-aside program, the Women-Owned Small Business Set-Aside Program.
Federal one.
Yeah, the federal one. Their Office of the Inspector General just published a report. What was the percentage? It was more than 25%.
I think it was around that percent. The WSB program is interesting in the fact that it's based on NAICS codes, and they found that people were WSB certified that didn't have NAICS codes that were eligible for the program, and they had contracts set aside for it, and so that, so they're looking into how better to maintain records and make sure that NAICS code. It is. It's in
It's
your.
a 6-digit number that says what your business does.
Okay, yeah.
Like ours is 541.
North Atlantic. or
North American
North
Industry
American.
Classification
It
System.
used to be called SIP, Standard Industry Code.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically it's a way to, it's a number to give to the products or services you provide.
And you can have multiple.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
But you've
necessarily
got to have a
one.
primary one from a woman-owned small business federal
Standpoint, and that,
And we actually got caught up in one ourselves this week. Some state, no, the WOSB program itself said, your tax return has the wrong NAICS code on it. And I'm guessing our accountant chose the smallest number when he filled it out instead of our primary one. So we had to fix that and reply to the federal government to say, okay, we'll make sure it's on next year's properly. Do you need this year's revised?
Why did it make a difference?
Because it's not, the code that he put on the tax return doesn't match the program code
the
that we're
primary
certified
code.
under.
And that's one of the ways they're starting to check it now, is they're using the NAICS code on the taxes to verify that your business is in a code that is applicable to the woman-owned business.
And I would never have thought of this until we got the letter this week.
So you're telling me the federal government is actually double checking something?
I know!
I mean, that's what I'm actually hearing here, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So your code,
They're
this is a
watching
code
for
that's
fraud.
approved under the
Yes.
federal government program, right, in the
Yes.
industry that's approved for certification for everyone.
Right.
And then you are approved, and then they
Yeah.
go to your tax return, they're like, okay, why?
Why is
Well,
the,
it's interesting in the timeline. 2 weeks ago, you see this tweet from the SBA about 25% of the woman-owned small business set-asides were not necessarily fraudulent, but awarded incorrectly. So what are they doing this week? They're checking to see that my NAICS code on my application matches my NAICS code on my tax return.
and while we do have all the appropriate NAICS codes for it, it's not the one that we're using on our tax, which is the one they consider the primary.
I got it, yeah.
So,
And again, you know, a lot of people do ask, well, why is there, especially federal, why is there so many steps, why is there scrutiny? Because unfortunately, and I think there is a lot of fraud in this.
Yes.
You know, in stuff. And some of it has gone overlooked. Some of it has, and sometimes, so there is like a catch-up period, you know, that they're working on now, and sadly, you know, I mean, you could be doing everything 100% women-owned, operating and managing it, and yet there could be, you know, one thing written in your legal documentation, or you started a business, your husband or your partner has absolutely nothing to do with your business, but you use joint money to open the business. That has come back to haunt some people.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just little things. You know, I had a client who was like,
And the rules change over
Who
time.
started a business, she was in Thai bar. Remember what I was saying about? And she left this big company, super smart, started this great company, business, had contracts, everything, 100% owned. And she hired two guys from the previous company. One is a consultant and one is an employee. And they denied her because she hires people smarter than her. And they were like, there's no way she could run this company.
That one I would appeal.
Oh, she appealed that. She
Oh,
did
yeah.
appeal that. She did appeal. I mean, you can't be denied hiring smart people. You know.
No.
I mean, so yeah.
And she could fire them too. which
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
the important part.
But there is.
Yeah.
I mean, there is fraud in this area. You know, so because some of those prime contractors. Some of those contracts, you put the money up there a while ago, it's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
You know?
And they
So-
use people, like some people don't just approach you sometimes and say, I just want to run papers to you.
Oh,
I know,
yeah,
that's,
sure,
you can go to jail for that.
Yeah.
So they
But
do
it
use
exists.
people, so they're
Yeah.
that's what they're really looking for. It makes you feel like you're being scrutinized or you're being attacked, but you're really not. They're looking for the people that are letting other people use them.
Exactly.
And I've gone to some vendor fairs where, you know, diversity vendor fairs, events where, you know, they know we have a woman business center. And I do have some construction primarily companies who will come up. And I remember, I think it was the one we had with URA last year. And great guy, was chatting to him anyway. And he said, well, we're meeting a lot of our requirements with minority and women. He says, but we're really struggling on veterans. Right? Now the problem is there's a lot of veteran-owned businesses that don't certify themselves as veterans. You know, my husband's family, same thing. You know, one of my best friends, she's a veteran and she has two businesses and she's not certified, and she's known they just don't. You know, I mean, they moved on from. But he said we really struggle with identifying veteran-owned businesses. And I think I don't know if they're changing the percentage on that. There's been some talk about changing it, you know, increasing it, but. A lot of the primes are really struggling in that area.
And part of the problem there is that there was such a snafu at the Veterans Administration for getting people certified. In fact, they took the system down for the entire month of June to replace part of it.
Oh, right, okay.
And they were backlogged. They were backlogged because of the problem with, there was a long drawn out legal case because the VA was allowing people to get away with not using veterans if
They could show good faith.
well no it's like if they decided that there weren't enough veterans in that
Category.
business space,
Yeah.
then they didn't make it a set aside,
Yeah.
which was really stupid. But I mean, it dragged out in the courts, and then everybody and his brothers now are rushing to get their certification, so it's backlogged at the VA.
And that's probably why there's now like 3 third-party veteran certifiers,
Yes.
because the VA is so backlogged. And they also have, the VA has the small business requirement, so if you are a veteran and you own a larger business,
You can't get certified by the VA, but you can by one of the 3. certifiers
Okay.
that we're familiar with.
Nice.
Okay.
So those are the different government certifiers and their programs. And the WSB and the economically disadvantaged women-owned business, they have different NAICS codes to be eligible for. And obviously, you have to meet the economically disadvantaged status, which is the personal net worth limit for the disadvantaged program, which is $1.32 million.
So can you get
less.
certified as a WOSB and an EDWOSB? Or
You
can
can
only be
stay
certified as one?
WOSB, but the EDWOSB is like the 8A program. It's a particular period of time, I believe.
And I don't think there's any overlapping NAICS codes. I'd have to
Yeah.
go back and
So is
review
it
them.
different from the 8A program, or is it?
Actually, it's not really. I don't think so. When I look at it, but the SBA might have a different perspective than I do. The paperwork's the same. The only difference is you have to be a woman.
Okay. So these are the three government ones, and these are all self-certified, am I correct? in
No.
saying?
Oh, no.
No.
That would be lovely.
Well, technically they're still allowing self-certification on the WSB, but the SBA is trying to get away from it.
Because of the problems that they just.
They have four approved, like WeBank, NIBOC, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I can't remember the other certifier off the top of my head.
Four
It's in here.
Approved people to run,
El Paso Hispanic.
But you can still go online.
Oh, yeah.
The U.S. Women's Chamber of Commerce.
And the U.S.
is
one,
the
thank
other
you.
one.
The U.S. Women, yeah.
Because you still can, the goal before was you go online, you self-certify yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, there was some.
You have to
That's in the
upload
SAM
documents.
registration, you can self-cert, in SAM, which is the System for Award Management at the federal level. You can call yourself whatever you want and be, quote, self-certified, but they won't count you in any of these programs
Okay.
because you're self-certified, not really certified.
So recognize this is PADDS for self-certification and for prime works. If you're self-certified with the state of Pennsylvania.
We're talking federal.
We're talking federal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really,
We'll
you're
get to
saying
the
you
state
can
in a
go
minute.
on there and do self-certified, but they won't really count you. They want you to go through one of these external organizations
Well,
to get certified.
yeah, the SBA does have a portal, because even if you get certified by a third-party organization, you have to take the certificate you get from them and upload it to their registry. Now, their registry, if you do self-certification there, you have to provide other documentation, your taxes and whatnot. But if you have the certificate from a third-party organization, you just upload that certificate.
Oh,
So you're saying they can self-certify through the SBA, WOSB?
Yeah, but they're-
But when you say self-certified, you still have to provide the documentation.
Understood.
to apply.
But you're not
You don't
paying
have to pay a third party.
No, you don't have to pay a third party, but
And
eventually
is that
that's,
recognized by SAM still, that one?
I believe so, because the SBA is,
now.
for now,
For now.
for now. They're
Because it's
supposed
not
to be,
being verified by anybody.
yeah,
That's the issue.
that's the issue, which is why it's supposedly going to be cycled out, I'm not sure when. Because it was supposed to be cycled out sometime last year, but it's still
It's not being
up.
cycled out because it has, one of their rules is it has to be accessible, right? And so if I'm a small business owner, and, because some of these agencies for third parties, they charge hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
350
Yeah,
minutes.
so, I mean-
Like, what would you third party and pay somebody to certify?
Well, they come, they do the site visits,
Mm-hmm.
they review the documentation, they interview you, they ask for proof of, that you're actually functioning and operating this business. Because that's a big part of the onus. It's not just owning the business, it's that you can run this business and operate your business.
Who are they?
here. Here are some of the third party, those are for,
So basically, the government, they have a self-certified program, but they're trying to phase it out. And they're telling people you have to go through these third party. But the problem is, all these third party agencies, you don't have to pay them.
Well,
yeah,
maybe I didn't know about it, because I didn't even know you could self-certify.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't
That's
know
why
you
you're
could
here.
self-certify.
Yep.
Here, I'll put my little button on.
Yeah, I didn't.
You said the rebate button?
yep,
Yes, I am a woman-owned business, and I can wear this button because I'm certified by this
That
particular
organization.
yeah.
agency. And if I'm not certified by WeBank, I can't wear it.
And that's WOSB.
No, that's the women
We
owned.
owned.
Not, yeah.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
these are the third-party certifications approved by the US government, right?
These are all the different, the ones for the WSB program, you'll see the WSB up here.
Oh, right.
That's how you know those are the ones approved by the federal government. The other ones are like the National Veterans Owners Business Association, that is just a third-party certifier.
Okay.
National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce is for LGBTs, MBEs, National Minor Supplier Development
So the
Council.
National Minority Supplier Development Council, I mean, they have an operation here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They also have one in Harrisburg, Philadelphia.
They have, well, a bunch of
Well,
regional
the-
partner
Organizations
organizations.
throughout the
And I know
country.
you have to pay that.
Yes.
Yes.
So when I got my MWDB, I could have used this agency to do what? Would they have done?
They were certified, so you got certified as a disadvantaged business enterprise,
Right.
right? Which is either, under disadvantaged includes women, minorities, and there's a lot of other categories.
Right.
But then there's a specific organization that just does minority certification, which is written there, National
And you don't have to be a
Minority
small
Supplier
business. You
Yeah.
could be Jerome Bettis's business and get certified by NMSDC.
Yeah.
Or you could be 84 Lumber and be certified by WeBank.
So they do for minority businesses, and basically the advantage of getting certified by them is they do matchmaking for minority-owned businesses with all these big companies. You know what I mean? So they have like
And there's a lot of advantages.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
They
You
offer
have to pay for that, and it's annual.
Yeah.
Same thing with the National Women's Business Ownership
Right.
Corporation, WeBank, which is Joanne and Marion's company. certified
No,
by.
that's,
Yeah,
this
Sorry,
one's,
Women's Business Enterprise Council.
yeah.
Same thing, they certify women-owned businesses, right, 51% owned, they just do women-owned, nothing else. And they basically work with corporations, large, big companies, and say, who don't have time to go out and find these women-owned businesses, so they'll say, we'll certify for them. They do matchmaking events throughout the year, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and match you up with these companies.
We
So
had
there
4
is-
matchmakers in Detroit
It's not
last
just you're
month.
paying to do the paperwork, there is other events, educational and matchmaking events that they
Well,
do.
they don't do your paperwork, let me
Oh,
tell you.
no, but, you know,
They're not doing any
They're
of
processing
your
your
you're,
paperwork.
pre- yeah, you're reviewing it,
But
yeah.
they do, and you get, for the women business enterprise, you get the badge, Joanne was saying, you get that logo that you can put on your website, you know, and companies like Walmart, you know what I mean? See, people can say, well,
Actually,
what
the
about Walmart?
logo was developed with Walmart.
You know, there was a big article in the Wall Street Journal a few weeks ago about Walmart and their support of women-owned businesses. And they've made it an active campaign now in
Yes.
the stores to put the logo up. So if you're ever in Walmart and walking around, you'll see the logos of, this is a woman-owned business. And they have it
Yeah.
right in front of the products, not
Yeah.
like on the, right in front of the
Yeah.
products.
Oh, okay.
So
We have a program called Act Intentionally, which
Yeah.
is you support the organizations that support you.
So
Which
they
is
do,
why I'm
they do
the
more
president of the
than just
organization.
processing the application. So there is, you know, that is, I suppose you can say, justifying the fee, you know, in that sense. But, so there is other ones out there, again, but it all depends on whom you're selling to.
Exactly, who you're selling to,
I think that's the next slide.
yes. Oh, that's, what do you need to get,
Actually, there's a
Let's go through
handout
that.
here called
Some of this came up in
Certification
our class last
Strategies.
Yeah.
So let's go through that, 'cause some of this came up.
Okay,
last
so
night.
if you want to do any type of business with the federal government, you're going to need a DUNS number because you need a DUNS number to get registered in the SAM system. The DUNS number is free. We've had people pay for it, get phonious DUNS numbers, don't do it. There's an online web form you can go to from the SBA's website. And also there are people out there who will say, oh, we'll handle your SAM for you. Again, SAM is free. You don't have to pay somebody. We had a friend of ours who didn't realize that they did this, paying $300 a year for somebody to update their SAM registration for them. Don't need to do it.
So you just create an account and log in.
Yeah, well,
SAM is different than GSA.
Yes.
I just want to make that distinction if anybody here is dealing with government. They're two different
yeah,
ways to get contracts.
yes. You'll need to know your codes.
Your
Nate's,
DUNS number is different from your NASIC code.
yes.
Right. People get confused with that, that's why I bring it
Yeah.
up.
DUNS number is like Social Security. It identifies your business and only your business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your NASIC code is your industry code.
Your
Or
industry codes.
you could have, depending on what you're doing, you might have a few of them.
Exactly, and it's interesting because the SAM system doesn't use NAICS codes, they use the federal PSC codes.
Which is Product Service Code.
Yeah, so there's a lot of codes you might want to look up in advance.
Yes. One stupid question.
No, there's no, I'm asking those of them, so we're.
So you said that the DUNS number is basically sort of the equivalent of the social security number. It's unique to your business.
Yes.
So is that different from your employer identification
Yes.
number?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like a financial credit
It's like a
score.
credit bureau for business.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
When I applied for my DOT number, they asked me if I had a DUNS number
Yep.
and what it was.
Yep.
So I guess their governments are cross-referencing
Yeah.
to see if there's legitimacy
Yep.
Yeah.
in your business.
And I will say, because of issues, like I said, with the SAM system and people like paying money for it, there's an additional step now in SAM where you have to send a notarized letter saying, yes, I am responsible for this account. It's a
Yeah,
little,
that just started.
It's a little bit of a hassle, but you'll be grateful for it.
They'll give you a template though, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, all you have to do is pretty much download it, and fill in the blanks, and then print it out and mail it to them.
Yep.
They only accept it
You
through
can
the
scan
mail.
it and email it to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mail mine
Yeah, I mailed ours in too.
We have issues supporting the US Postal System.
Yes, exactly.
I don't trust them. If it's, for me, I wouldn't mail it. I would FedEx it because I want a chain of evidence.
You can track it that
That's true.
way. Yes.
And that's why I scan an email, because then I have a chain to prove that it was done.
Yeah. And so, why you're asked for references is to demonstrate capacity.
When you're a new business, you don't necessarily have references, but you can use personal references.
Personal, or if you have a good relationship with your branch manager at your bank who you set up your account with, you can use them as a reference as well.
So this is your ability to show you can perform
Form,
the tasks, perform the work.
Work,
Okay.
yeah.
So that might be customers like Joanne, I mean, it might be customers, yeah, or, yeah, customers, I would think, yeah.
Yeah, if you have customer references, that's what you want to provide. If you're like, we had a startup business who we helped get certified. They don't currently have customers. They use personal references
Okay.
for people who knew that they were capable of owning and operating a business, basically, who knew them long term.
Or knew them professionally.
Who knew them professionally.
Okay.
And other things you'll need to provide, resume.
And when they say resume, they're not talking about a resume like you use when you go for a job. They're talking about a resume of what you do in your business. And it
Capability
needs,
statement, we call it.
pardon me?
Capability statement.
No, this is different.
No,
This
it's
is,
not.
they want a resume for the
Owner.
owners. And the,
Like
So
if you're
they-
doing the sales and marketing, if you're doing the invoicing stuff, the
business visioning, the keywords really are business visioning. I'm the person who has the vision for this business and I'm going to move it forward. So all the things that you would do to move a business forward or grow a business are the things you want to show on your resume as tasks that you do for your business.
So kind of going back to what was there is showing not that you just own the business, but you have the skills and expertise and the vision to manage and move this business forward, correct?
And these are the tasks that you do to,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not just the strategy,
So
but
not just I'm
the,
doing the bookkeeping for the business, you know what I
tactics.
mean, and stuff, that I'm actually active about recruiting contracts,
Right.
going out meeting clients, you know, because we have many who are like, well, I do all the bookkeeping, that's not, you know.
yeah.
And if
So-
you've worked professionally for another company and you're taking that skill set, it's okay to put like that company down. So I've
Yeah.
worked 10 years doing
Yeah.
marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
now I'm
wanna
a marketing company and I've gone out of my, like they want support as to why you're qualified to be operating and controlling this company.
Exactly.
I had a pretty little resume, and I went to my counseling session, and
Would
they
you
just-
add?
and they just,
and she gave me the sad face.
and they just marked it up, and I was like, no.
It's like if you're trying to get a job, this resume is perfect. If
It
you're-
was perfect for getting a job.
But that's a good point. So there's,
Yeah.
you know, resume for a job, and there's a resume to show in terms of the capability of your company.
Yeah, the capability of you. The
Running this
capability
company.
statement is,
Right, the
yes, for
capability
your
of you
business.
running this company. Sorry,
Yes.
yeah, your capability.
And that's
Yeah.
really key, guys, the operation part. I've heard so many, and you guys too. Have heard,
Yeah.
We've talked about some of them.
Yeah.
That, you know, like if they don't feel like you are capable of running this company without other people around you.
particularly a
like
guy.
A guy
If
or
you're
a
a woman.
husband or something
Yeah.
like that, then you're not getting
Flash
heard
drive
of.
has a virus.
My flash drive has a virus.
Yeah, I put it on mine.
Interesting.
Judith
How
is
working
going to watch that
No.
screen over there. So she just got it
She
over
worked
running.
really hard to
She
get
is
that
like,
right.
she is sitting
I
so
thought
close to
I
that.
gave me back my flash drive.
No, I gave you have it. Remember, that's what I had in. That's what caught.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just letting
She's
you know.
happy now, she got it.
I didn't realize. I apologize.
Well, why isn't it?
Well, no, it's this is the email version.
Email version, not flash drive.
Yeah,
Whatever, we're working.
But, okay, for federal and state certifications, you'll need to provide your personal tax returns. Third-party certifiers will only ask for them if you do not have 3 years of business taxes. So in lieu of 3 years of business taxes, say you only have 1 year of business taxes, then you provide 2 years of personal taxes as well. Proof of your U.S. citizenship or permanent residency. I will say this, NMSDC is the only third-party certifier that will only certify U.S. citizens.
Say that again?
NMSDC, the Minority
National Minority
Supplier Development Council, is the only third-party certifier that requires you to be a U.S. citizen.
So if you're a permanent legal resident, they won't certify.
They won't certify you.
I actually had a lady the other day, she's in the steel industry, had a company up in Canada, had moved here, came here on 2 different visas, and I was going to have her go and talk to you and stuff, but she went, I had her go back to her attorney and look in terms of her visas, because I nearly was certain she wasn't a permanent resident, you know.
Is her company in Canada?
But she has a company here in the US too.
Okay.
But her visa is actually a business visa. She
Right.
did business here. So she had a big contract, and literally, you know, she's trying to get, they're really waiting for her certification, but she can't because she's not a US citizen and she's not a permanent legal resident.
But she could get her international WeBank certification.
She, but maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah, but we just got the legal stuff. So sometimes, you know, she's
Yeah.
fell short in that. Now,
Yeah.
she's not a minority, so she wouldn't be going for that one anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Well, we get a lot of calls from people who are permanent legal residents, but not U.S. citizens who are minorities, and they want to get certified, but
And they could by the state, but they can't by NMSDC.
I didn't know that now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the personal net worth statement is only for the government certifications, the third parties.
And I just want to bring up one point, because I've had this happen, the minority certification, proof of ethnicity,
Is
DNA
any-
testing, the ancestry, the 23andMe does not count.
That's not necessarily true.
Well, that's, I mean, we went
I
to
know,
the thing and they said no.
It's council by council and,
Oh, really? Because I
Yes.
was told they do not, they will not,
So what are they
So
talking
who's to
about?
prove?
For Native American?
yeah.
well, that's for tribal, but I'm just saying, I actually had
But
a
a lot of
woman
do
bring
for
in
tribal, a
her
lot of do is for Indian
thing and
American,
says,
yeah.
look, I'm, you know,
Tribal.
25% African American, and she had blonde hair, blue eyes, and looked like she was Swedish. Just saying, you know,
Yeah.
and she's like, I want to become minority
Depending upon the
certified.
council that she, I mean, if she wanted to get certified here and you went to the management of that council, they can make a waiver to accept.
Well, who was
DNA
the people
testing.
that C3?
Because we
They
help.
said they wouldn't accept
It
it.
was the minority.
Yeah, they said no. They
The
told me
minority
no.
group, they said absolutely no.
Well, now NMSDC and Pacific West Coast will accept them.
Okay, well,
So it's-
MPE said no to me.
okay.
When you say, who said no to you?
Well, they were at the C3 conference.
What was the
and-
name of the certifying agency?
The minority.
Minority.
The Eastern-
Minority
Yeah.
Department.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
the Pittsburgh.
That's that branch,
Okay.
and you could potentially negotiate with them on that if she has other documentation. I mean,
Like what? Like what?
well,
Well,
how about her
yeah.
grandmother's birth certificate, or something from
So
her
you just want your
church, or
birth
something from.
certificate? Is that what they're looking for?
Well, some birth certificates in the U.S. will list ethnicity, some don't.
Right.
Most don't.
Most don't.
haven't since the
Most
20s,
haven't, yeah,
unless you're in the
right.
South. Because we had a gentleman who was born in Florida, wasn't on his mother's, but it was on his grandmother's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine looking back and
I
seeing.
don't know,
Yes.
I'm just saying, when I asked that, because
Yeah.
I actually had somebody come to a counseling session with me, and so I went
Yeah.
past them, and I was like,
Well,
what
like,
do I do with that? And
well,
she's
like we said, we went to, because we
With
said,
Earl.
with Earl, we said, we looked here, we looked here.
We went everywhere to try to get his documentation, and he couldn't get it, so that council said, we will allow him to have a DNA test, and we will accept his
Accept.
results.
So it just depends.
And interestingly enough, this council here once told me, if they look African American, we'll certify them. What does look mean?
Wow.
So, you know, it's 6-1. This woman can prove that she has 25% ancestry, and yet, so it depends on who you talk to at that agency, at that particular, just like you getting denied the
Yeah,
second
right,
time
right.
around. It's who answered the question.
All right.
For women, it's really easy, birth certificate, because, you know, sex is listed. veteran is the DD 214 form. If you're a service disabled veteran, you'll need a letter from, oh, there it is, your letter of determination about that. And for disability-related certifications, there's actually, there's more than just the physician's certificate that you can submit, but that's the easiest one to submit.
Right. It's basically the same form as if you're getting a handicapped
Parking
placard.
space, parking.
Yeah, that your doctor would fill out for you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Someone asked me that recently. I assumed it was, yeah. Mhm.
It's very similar to that, yeah.
Okay.
And for LGBTs, that's
There's
a
a
little,
lot of documentation.
a lot of
we can
different
use.
options, because that's a little harder to, I mean, transgendered's easy. It's the other ones that are a little more difficult. But if you're a member of a chamber, then usually just a letter from them is also the easiest way. But if you're not a
And
member of a
Pittsburgh now
chamber,
has a chamber.
yeah, they recently opened one. I want to say in the last
Because I get
2
a lot of
months.
questions about the LGBT certification for, you know, verification under the
Yeah.
state. And they were like, well, you know, how do you prove, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you prove?
Yeah, do we have more? Oh no, that was. There are more options than that, but those are just some of the.
And again, to be, you know, some of these are all new things they've added, you know, new sections they've added into the certification. So I'm sure there'll be more there once they figure it out.
Yeah.
And when they get to old people, I guess they'll just need our birth certificates.
Or to look at us.
Do I look old? Yeah, you do.
Hey, AARP, think about it, I think they're good.
I know. I keep saying it's gonna happen.
So depending on your business structure, LLC, partnership, corporations, you'll need to provide some different documentations, but some of the standard stuff is your business taxes, employee list and compensation plan. If you have a lease for your space, or if you own your space, a copy of that, your bank signature
And
cards.
if you're a home-based business, we recommend that you do a lease between yourself and your business.
And talk about the compensation plan. A lot of people ignore that and don't understand why they're asking for that, because, you know, like if I'm the owner
Yeah.
and I'm paying managers and I'm paying them, like you can pay them more than you, but you have
Yes,
to be
you can.
careful. You have to be careful with like.
Yeah, you can pay them
No,
more.
you can't. I'm saying,
Yeah.
but you have to have reasons.
Exactly.
You can't just, you know, because then it looks like, again, like especially if they're male.
Exactly, and particularly if it's like a salesperson and they're getting compensation, that's the easiest one to explain. They're selling well, of course they're making more money than anybody else. Another reason, if you're deferring compensation because you're in the startup business, or you need to defer some compensation for a period of time because you had it, like you need to buy a new truck or something, and so you put that money towards the truck, you just explain that.
And a compensation plan is different than what you actually paid. The plan is, you know, this is,
Like you're supposed
this
to.
is a job description, this is what I pay for that job description.
Yeah. It's only when they ask for like your W-2s and say, okay, well you say you're supposed to be making, I don't know, $50 an hour, but your W-2 doesn't match. Why is that?
Yeah.
And that's when you explain.
That's why they ask for a compensation plan versus and again, compensation plan is government, not third party.
So how long does it take to get certified? This again, it depends on how important it is to you, obviously, and how old your business is, and also how well you have your documentations already in order. And we recommend when you start pulling everything together, if you don't already have it scanned, scan it, make a backup copy of it, put it on a flash drive, CD, take it to your safety deposit box, to your parents' house, to your best friend's house, somewhere. So if something the worst should happen, as with our friend Stan, who lost all his documentation in Katrina, that you don't have to go around and pay like hundreds of dollars to get copies of all your
To
paperwork.
recreate your
When you,
life.
when you're scanning, when you actually do the certification process and they ask you to upload things, so actually you should go down that list and scan each item
Yes.
individually.
Well, if you have like a Word copy of your resume, you don't need to scan it. You can just save like the Word version, or if you want to print it to PDF and save it that way, that's fine. Because they will, I want to say for uploading, they'll take PDF, they'll take Word documents, and they'll take Excel documents.
Yeah.
So any format that you're using to submit, just save it, so you don't need to scan it. But if you have like your hard copy of your
Like when the.
articles of organizations that you got back from the state that you have to scan. Scan that and then,
Or your tax returns, when the CPA sends them back to you at the end of the year to be signed. We always scan those because we know we're gonna get asked for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And most agencies take 90 to 180 days, including the site visits. And that clock for them doesn't start until they say your application is complete. So if you send in your application, they send you back a question saying, hey, we need this document and clarification on this. Their clock doesn't start until
They get everything they ask for.
yeah, you reply back, they say it's all good, and then their clock starts on that 90 to 180 days to get stuff reviewed and do the site visit.
All certifications come with the site visit. Is that what you're saying? All
Everything
certifications.
Except for the PADGS certification. For that,
What's that, which one?
okay, Pennsylvania.
Does HUD come with a site visit, Judy?
I'm sorry.
Does the HUD certification come with a site
Section
visit?
3.
Section, I'm sorry, say that again.
The Section 3 certification, do they do a site visit?
No.
Okay.
We do everything here to process the paperwork,
Okay.
so. in
But
other
does the
words-
agency come and do a site visit for the
No.
business? No.
No.
Okay. They don't. But most certifications will come with a site visit, and I missed the question now. What was?
You said except.
Except who? Who does?
PADGS. That's the Pennsylvania Department of General Services for the state of Pennsylvania. You register as a vendor, and then you can go online and apply for small business status. And what that does, you have to upload the first page of your tax form because they do it based on sales volume size. And so you can be an SBE within the state of Pennsylvania that way. And then if you are certified by anybody else, like PADGS, UCP certification, WeBank, NMSDC, NGLCC, you can upload a copy of that certificate and become a diverse small business in Pennsylvania through GGS. And that'll be good for any
Because they
contract.
verify your certification.
That'll be good for any state contract that doesn't involve DOT dollars.
So just in terms of cycles, because people get concerned about that. So what if I'm a home-based business? What if I don't have an office, or I have an office in my home, but
Well, first of all, you do a lease between you and yourself. So you have, a lease between yourself and your business for that home office. They will send somebody. WeBank will not, if you're a home-based woman business, they will not send a man to do your site visit. They'll send a woman.
But if
Why would that
home-based
concern
business,
you?
they will come to your home.
Yeah, they'll come.
Why would that concern you?
Wherever, if it's in your basement.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. When we updated our NAICS codes for our DDE certification, we were at the house at the time before
Yeah.
our space was
basically
ready,
to a home.
and they came up and to the third
Living
floor
room, past the bedrooms, all the way to the third floor.
where we were set up for the office. So yeah, they will come. Doesn't matter if you're home
So
based
they
or
don't
not.
want, so if you say you're home-based, they want to see basically an office or a business based in your home, correct?
Well, if you're using your dining room, that's fine. They just
Yeah.
wherever you're working from.
Whatever corner.
Exactly. Wherever you're.
How many home-based businesses do we have here? Okay, well, just one right now, all right, okay.
Yeah, I've been home based.
I've
been home.
That would be me. Yeah, so,
That's exactly what
Well,
I was
I know, just because a lot more,
Yeah.
if you are, if you're a service-based business, you
Yeah.
may be working out of
At a
your home.
home.
Some people have co-working spaces, but you might be working out
Yeah,
of your
you're
home. I
right.
get that question asked a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
goes
back
back
to what Marion said in the beginning. It's just, if you're a pretzel company and you're home based and you don't have an oven where you're saying you're, a commercial
Yeah.
space, that's a problem.
Problem.
Right? And I mean, so you can be home based as long as what you need to show that you're functioning
Right.
and operating is there,
Mhm.
not a problem.
So what are, just regarding the site visit then, is there like any takeaways people can have that there might be fall downs? Like they failed and their application was successful, but they failed with their site visit. Do you
Well,
see that?
the site visit is usually about verifying the information you've provided.
Okay.
And if there's like a question that they might have questions that they want clarified
Okay.
for the site visit. Additionally,
If they keep asking the same question over and over again, there's an issue.
there you go. But
Or different ways of asking the same question.
Okay.
but for the most part, it's
I
about
think of one.
verifying the information you provided is accurate and correct. And like you have a computer, you can show me on your computer if you're like a graphic designer, you can like pull up stuff that work, stuff, proof of your work and stuff like that, for example. Because really for a graphic designer, you need your computer and electricity, right?
Did they send you a list of questions before they come?
No, they won't send
They
those.
just say, here's the date, we're coming.
No, but you can read our article on prepping for a site visit.
Okay, all right.
Because basically, they come in, they ask, they will check for your ID, which is something that just started in the last 5 years.
To make sure
Check
you're
your ID,
talking.
Make sure you're you.
Okay, I say that I'm,
Yeah.
actually, I'm,
Yeah.
I didn't bring an imposter, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Which
All right.
I'm assuming that happened somewhere along the line because literally
That's
5 years
interesting.
ago, they didn't ask you for your ID.
Okay.
They'll ask you, it will be more conversational. I mean, yeah, they have a checklist that they have to go through, but the conversation is more about, why did you start your business? Why did you decide to start a business? What's your passion in this business? Why did you decide to get certified? Okay, now who does what in this business? And then what are your plans for this business?
And they might ask to see, and they still ask for them, which in this day and age is crazy, cancel checks.
Yes.
And you can go online and just pull it up from your online banking to show checks, because they want to see if you're saying, who you're saying is signing the checks is actually the one signing the majority of the
And
checks.
they might ask for a contract that you
Right.
executed with your name on it, and if you're in a business, like my business is not a woman-dominated industry. So they wanted to prove that I had knowledge, so we had to go on a site tour.
Yeah, they usually
You know what I
do.
mean? Like, so, and they were like, so what does that do? And what's that? Not like they would know if I was right or wrong is irrelevant, but they just wanted me to be able to show.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking like, what anatomical pathology lab equipment works, because I'm thinking you don't, but that's all right. But they do, like they want to make sure,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a male-dominated
So
industry.
you're not basically calling John over, John, come over here and show
Yes.
him how to work.
Yeah,
this."
exactly.
That's a red
Okay.
flag.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know? So that might be part of it, depending on your industry. So
Yeah,
like
right.
construction people, like they're gonna wanna make sure like you know about your trucks and
Yeah.
different things, and not just like, well, Harry takes care of that. Well, they're not gonna be happy with that answer.
Yeah, well, we had somebody who did a recent trucking company, did a site visit, and they wanted her to turn on the truck.
Yeah.
It's like, anybody can turn on a truck, but sure,
I
she got
can
it.
turn on a truck.
I had to drive the forklift.
Okay.
Okay.
On your site visit?
Oh, yes. She's like, you can drive that? I'm like, yes, I'm certified. Prove it. Like, I had to get on and
Yeah.
back up the fork and bring it
No,
up
I
and
can't,
down.
I don't have a CDL and I don't drive the truck. Now, I know how to turn it on. And I could drive it, but I'm not.
You're not
Like,
licensed.
You're not CDL.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We actually had a client in California.
Same for the keys to trucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, there's a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
was
things,
us.
that you might do, I mean, like, one of the biggest women-owned businesses in the state is a security business, right? Security guard business, Well, I know the lady who owns that business, and she's not a security guard, she's not out there on the sites where she sends security guards.
Right.
Now, can she sign off on contracts and but she doesn't perform the task
Right.
herself, you know what I mean? She doesn't own a weapon. I mean, it's interesting. It was kind of
But
like.
that tends to be more the state or the government certifications that get into that nitty gritty.
Okay,
I mean, if you're going for WeBank, they'd say, do you own the truck?
okay.
You
Show
know,
that, you show documentation.
Can you hire somebody to drive that truck?
Okay,
Yeah, of course I can.
yeah.
And in fact, real early on, I used to be a site visitor for WeBank back in the early 2000s. The first site visit I went on was a woman up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and they had a construction company that did flagging, among other things. And so she had gotten rejected by the state. WeBank was questioning her certification. And I, of course, read her paperwork. And I asked her, why did you decide to become 100% owner of this company? Her husband and her son were no longer involved. She burst into tears. To me, that was like, okay. She said, I've always been 51% owner of this company. I don't understand why people want to know why I decided to be 100% owner. I said, well, I was just curious. But she was denied because nobody read her paperwork. They assumed that because she recently had become 100% owner, that somebody had done that just so she could be upfront.
Okay.
So, it's like, it's all these little things that can get you.
Okay.
So that's what it costs if you're doing it yourself. There are attorneys who will do certification for people, and then there are companies out there who will do your certification for you. Yeah. Yes. That's the 8A. They only do the 8A program.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Makes me look cheap, huh?
That's a good way. Cheap.
So we have some links for
Expensive.
the SBA, SAM, the Hub Zone map to check addresses, the size standards, our local certifiers, and some of the third-party certifiers. And, oh, that's what our triennial for the state of Illinois looked like in 2016. We had to send them all that paperwork.
So how many, so you got, what certifications do you have, Joanne? So maybe you can.
We have, we're
And did you
graduate.
explain what your company was?
Yes.
Yeah, we're an IT services firm. We do predominantly state government work.
Okay.
So our philosophy about certification was to get certified where we want to do work.
Okay.
State of New York, for example, has a 30% goal for minority and women business spend on every state or city contract. I think it flows down to the counties too, but, so for me to be able to say, hey, 15% of that belongs to me because I'm a woman-owned business, great. And there are different states have different goals, but because it gives us a leg up in bidding, that's why we went for all the different ones. We started with Illinois, and we only started with Illinois because we had won a contract and they said, they did a survey, and then they called us woman-owned. Actually, they call us FBE.
Yeah. Yeah.
Female business.
Illinois is the only
Excuse me,
state.
if anyone has to use the restroom,
Yeah.
you could go up one floor, catch the elevator, or go up the steps, and
Okay.
the bathrooms are like in the same place, because we got
They
issues.
closed it, yeah.
Yeah, I think
The floor
Florence,
was wet.
he's saying, he's like, Chad, jinx us.
Who said that?
But yeah.
We're gonna go beat him on that.
Yeah. So we're a graduate of the 8A program. We hold like 20 odd state certifications. We're gonna.
So for those, because you mentioned you do business in other states, so
Yeah.
one of the things I saw for when you get registered for the certification in the state of PA, you have to be registered as a business in this state.
Yes.
Right.
So are you registered as a business in all these other states?
Some states require it,
Yeah.
and some states don't for certification purposes. For example, the state of Montana, we're certified there. We have a master services agreement there. We did not have to register in that state until we actually performed the work
Okay.
there.
So it depends on the state.
State.
Maryland, you have to register.
Maryland, you have to register in advance. New York, you have to register in advance. And you have to remember that when you register to do business in a state, that makes you applicable to pay taxes there.
That's what I'm saying.
So, but like
But it's usually, unless you're actually doing business there, it's usually a fixed.
flat fee. But you want to know what it is before you go into it.
That's what I was
Maryland, it's like 300. Illinois, I want to say it's like 100.
Sometimes you don't have to file taxes even if you didn't transact, just to show that you had a zero transaction.
Transaction.
If they
Right, oh, yeah,
if they
report it.
claim that you've established nexus. But you don't have to be registered in that state to have to be considered doing, like having a tax basis. There are certain states you just have to have had a transaction in that state in order for them to make you sales tax liable.
So I'd like to go around the table again, since everybody's here to be the small group. So now that we've gone through a number of stuff, and you know as what your business is, I'd like to find out, do we know what certification you should be seeking and the next steps to move forward? All right. Okay, so Joanna, I'm going to start with you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So you said about the city of Pittsburgh, correct? Okay. So your contract. So we're talking out loud as a group. Okay. So what certification should she be looking at if she's looking at contracts with the city of Pittsburgh? You're answering.
It seemed like you were.
I was like, do you want me to answer that? Because
You're
I
going to
could.
start first. You're going to try. Yeah.
So I think I need the women-owned business certification, but then I'm confused about WeBank, the one that you guys keep mentioning. So what's the difference between
That's a
those?
good question. Okay. Is
Um,
she correct first in saying if she's looking at the city?
The city will take, depending, if it's DOT dollars, it has to be the UCP program. But if it's anything but DOT dollars, then Department of Transportation, I'm sorry. Then you could do like WeBank certification, you could do the self-certification for small business, but if they're specifically looking for that W, then you'll get a letter when you apply to the UCP program, you'll get the DBE letter and you'll get a WBE letter. And if you're a woman minority, you'll get the DBE letter, the WBE letter, and the MBE letter. Or if you're
So firstly, it's really, what I usually take the clients, they're like, oh, they asked me for certification. I was like, okay, you go back and ask them exactly what certification. Like, you know all those acronyms she has in the front there? You go back and ask them, because I can guarantee you they're ticking a box. So you go back and ask them exactly which one. Even if they give you the acronyms, we now have a whole list of them, and find out which one. Because I don't want you to spend all the time on one and find
Ask
out,
them which
oh,
one
that's
they
nice, but we
accept.
wanted this one. You know, I mean, so that's what you have to be careful
So
of.
she says she does what, healthy?
Healthy food, healthy snacks, and she's looking with the city. So I would say it's the state certification.
Section, and I'm gonna tell you what, section three, because Housing Authority, Allegheny County Economic Development, where it's based on income, but it's 3 ways, as you
Yeah.
mentioned. And you can do a section 3 certification because Housing Authority, they have specific section 3 plans and they look for section 3 businesses. So, and PAUCP, like you said, so for example, like the airport, I'm hosting an event on how to do business with them, and the caterer I hired is a.
So you're saying agencies other than HUD will accept section 3?
Yes, so in other words, the URA is now looking at, doing more section 3 stuff. Housing Authority City, Housing Authority County, and Allegheny County Economic Development, all,
But not the city itself.
the city, not necessarily the city itself.
Okay, all right, okay. So we're looking at the state certification, PAUCT, well, I'll show you which one that is, and maybe section 3 then. And I think once you have all that documentation put together, then you could maybe consider WeBank going forward. You should have the documentation put together. All right, next lady. Now, you already have PAUCP certification,
Yeah.
correct? All right, so you just get all her stuff. All right?
And are you
You didn't hear me say
registered?
that. All right, you just got all her stuff, all right?
Yeah,
Okay.
are you registered with DGS as a woman-owned or minority-owned business?
No.
So you should take that UCP program and visit the DGS website and do that because,
And be verified.
Yeah,
You said
verified.
Because-
DBS?
yeah, being in there, I never thought of Penn State as a potential customer, but guess where they found me? The
Oh, the
DGS
DGS.
website because I verified
And
as a woman in
DGS,
business.
Department of General
General
Services.
Services.
General Services,
Here,
Department
yeah.
of General Services, okay.
So,
As if the link is in here
you
too.
already have your third party
Department of General
certification, you would become STV Small First Business Verified.
Okay.
And it goes, same thing requires you to go in, like you said, to the vendor number,
Yeah.
and then you would upload, they'll tell you what documents you need
Okay.
to upload.
So sometimes it's not just getting the certifications, once I get it, how do I utilize what, where should I be putting it, where, you know, I have it, not the whole world, just because I know I have it doesn't mean the whole world knows I have it.
You would not
know what I
believe how many phone calls we get because we're on a list in some state and somebody's looking for a sub.
Yep.
Right.
And our name starts with ABA.
So she should be registered, now that she's certified on this, DGS, Department of
Yeah,
General Services.
she's
What
already-
else should she be doing? Are you looking for another certification or what she should be doing with her
I'm
existing?
I'm looking for any certification that will benefit.
Yeah.
Well,
Who are your primary customers?
Anything, commercial construction.
Commercial construction.
And sometimes I do like farmers, things like that.
Now, I was just wondering, what do they say?
Did they?
Do they know that you're certified?
I normally tell them that I am certified, but there's so many people bidding.
Yeah.
It's such like a big bidding war, like sometimes.
So you do
they
hauling,
don't even notice that.
is it hauling and truck?
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, that's another big thing with the Housing Authority, Section 3 certified businesses. They're always looking for Section 3 certified businesses to do there's trucking opportunity, you know, hauling, because like, it could be moving old refrigerators from, or new refrigerators
Okay.
to another housing site.
Well, the thing is, my
But that's
my
not-
trucks are like commercial, so they're big trucks. They're not.
But I'm just, I mean, even, you know what I mean, just to be, think about it, it's something that would put you in your system.
Yeah,
On your register.
absolutely.
You would register on their database as a vendor.
So which one did you say?
Housing Authority, City of Pittsburgh, you can go right to their website and register as a vendor. And then, if you're interested, we can send you information on section 3.
Okay, all right, good, all right. Good.
All right, so I don't actually have my business yet, I'm in the early days, but I think it would probably be the woman-owned business through the state UCP at this point.
Okay.
Why do you think that? I'm just curious. What is your
well,
business? I missed
So
it.
I'm basically looking to start my own consulting business. I do like landscape design and environmental policy.
Okay.
And so.
So you would be chasing DOT money?
I don't know if it would be DOT money, but it would certainly be like city or county.
City or county planning is a good
Yeah,
thing?
exactly,
Okay, all right.
that kind of thing. And I know from when I worked for other people that whenever we were putting bids in on contracts as a prime, we were always looking for subs that had either the WPE or the CPE
Right.
certification. I mean, yeah.
Okay,
So it would be nice.
okay, so
So
we'll
get-
start with that one then, all right.
And register, once you get it, register with
With the
PADGS.
Department of General Services, okay, that seems to be a standard.
Oh, yeah, if you-
Oh, yeah.
Once
If
you
you're
get-
certified by anybody.
Well, you can do it now as just a small bit, well, you have to have a business, you can do it as a small business now, but once you get certified by anybody else, register your certification, be small diverse.
So many people were missing out where we had businesses who didn't have any other certification yet, but they simply self-certified as a small business. Because at one time the state didn't recognize you just being a small business and a prime doing business with you, but now they do, but you get more points or recognition if you have a third-party certification.
Oh, right,
But
okay.
we have people who got contracts who just simply self-certified, and then later
More
on
on
they got
Department
more
of
because they
General
got
Okay,
their
well,
PhD.
that's the takeaway I have from today.
Yeah.
Remind us again, sorry, what you.
It's a sign company.
Signs, okay,
Signs.
all right.
So I
Signs as in like directional signs or like for construction or?
any kind of sign. Sign that lights up your businesses, directional, disability signs in buildings.
Very
and
good.
everything.
All the certifications.
All right, so let's see,
So
so,
I don't know if I would do obviously minority women business and small
Yeah.
women business or both. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that's WSB and WOSB.
You need to check your NAICS code
Okay.
to see if you're eligible for the WOSB, because it's based on NAICS.
okay, right. Next code, good, all right, okay. What about, and those would be the two I'd start with, and then what about WeBank for her?
Well, you know, I hesitate to talk about WeBank as much as I do. I'm a believer in it. I've been certified by them since 1999.
And you've got business from there, correct?
Yes and no. I've gotten subcontracting business. I haven't
Okay.
done any direct prime business because of my WeBank certification, but what I've gotten from it is education, networking opportunities, introductions that I would not have had without being a member, and this cool branding logo, which
But I'm thinking of like,
you know, it's really done for me.
largely like it's Home Depot or Lowe's or companies like that. So I'm thinking like they need a lot of signage, you know what I mean? So, you know,
Oh, yeah.
big stores or, you know, whatever.
Large
So-
facility
Large
complexes.
facilities
So,
complexes, yeah.
and depending on, I mean, I'm sure.
Oh, please go to Detroit and do the damn Marriott.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying,
There's
finding an
signage.
elevator with to get to the people mover when you're using an assistive device.
Again, the airport.
Yep,
So,
airport, and
yeah,
that's
I was
definitely
gonna
what
say-
UCP for the
Yeah.
airport.
Yeah.
So when is your airport event, Judy?
July 25th, the flyers,
Did you hand out flyers about it?
well, they're on the table out there, but if they're registered with DVRC, then they would've got the notice.
So we'll get the flyers before you leave. Definitely the airport one. Okay, I just found that.
Yeah, they're gonna be here, cause they're gonna allow for DV goals till 21.
All right.
I like being able to put the logo on my business card and then I don't have to be anybody's face to say I'm a woman of business. It's on my card and it's cute.
Okay, Jill?
So my first target and my priority is to become veteran certified.
Okay,
I have all my documents.
good.
I just do not have them scanned so that I can upload them.
Okay.
And I think the system's back online now.
So that's the
to
federal certification for veteran-owned businesses,
Right.
correct?
So
Okay.
that's a big deal to me.
Okay.
But of course, locally, you know, I don't have any other certification,
Mm-hmm.
but part of why I don't have some of them is I don't have my truck yet.
Okay, okay.
And so I know I need my truck first before I can apply for a lot of those certifications. So that's the only thing that's keeping me from doing those is the purchase of the truck,
Mm-hmm.
which should be soon, like within 30 days. But also, once I do the veteran-owned, I also want that logo. Veteran-owned businesses
Yes,
have
yeah.
a logo.
Yeah.
And I want that smack dab on my truck.
Yeah.
And for some people, it doesn't mean a big thing, it means something to me.
And if you're certified by the veterans or the NMSDC or any of those logos that you can put on your cards, your trucks, your whatever handouts you have.
And also, that's one of the only things that sets me apart from my
Yeah.
competitors.
Yeah, that's why we
is-
always say about that, it's the same in business, it does nothing to do with certification, but if you're just opening a business, what sets you apart from your competitors? It could be your opening hours, it could be your parking, what sets you apart? Sometimes it is, and I think it could be your certification, yeah, yeah.
But the
so-
veteran,
But there is
woman-owned
specific
veteran
set aside for
businesses are-
veterans, so that,
I
yeah.
was gonna say too, did Don reach out to you, our veteran coordinator?
I touched base with him earlier on, but I started, I started, I lean a little bit towards Avatar because they're like 7 minutes from my house. I can literally be late and still slide into a parking lot and be like, I'm here. So that's,
The veteran-specific things that are coming up, so.
But you have all your paperwork is for veteran.
yeah, the only thing is, you know, every time I go, I don't have a scanner, and I know that sounds.
We have a scanner in our office.
Okay, so that's, those kind of things.
Does it work? Hang on a minute now, does it work?
It does, they just have to follow the, well,
Yeah.
we can scan it, but if we can print it, that's a whole nother thing once it's scanned.
Computers, yeah, so we have a fancy machine in our office that's supposed to
We're
print
on
it,
scanner
doesn't.
here too,
you know,
but I
yourself,
can,
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we can
So
scan it,
that's-
Joe.
yeah,
We can
that's
scan
the
it.
only
Don't worry about
thing.
that. All right, okay.
Okay, well, I'm nonprofit, so I don't know if it excludes me of any certain type of certification, but just looking at this, I would say maybe the 8A, the DBE, when I expand Hub Zone, MBE, SBE, when I expand the Section 3 for the Housing and Urban Development, WBE and the WOSB.
all the ones that apply.
But,
But does she have to be a for-profit?
That's my question.
you have to be a for-profit. I'm trying to think if there is
somebody that does nonprofit.
I can't remember them off the top of my head.
I want to say Illinois will certify a nonprofit, but that probably doesn't do you any good if you're
No.
not doing this.
So if you're a nonprofit, are you providing any for-profit services?
It doesn't matter, it's how her business is organized.
Her
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah.
You always say, can you?
You can't really.
I mean, you can be a for-profit business and not make any money and get certified because you were organized for profit. If you're organized as a nonprofit,
It's like, I know off the top of my head, I know Massachusetts certifies nonprofits, but again, that doesn't help her because she's not in
When you
Massachusetts.
form a nonprofit, you don't own it. You know, you're the founder of a
No,
nonprofit.
yeah.
Right, so you can't be woman-owned because nobody owns a nonprofit.
Nonprofit,
You're
yeah.
a founder of a nonprofit. It's irrelevant who
Yeah,
founds it.
I don't think there's any.
I'll
So,
research.
so
I don't
let me
know.
go back to the other question. Have you filed your paperwork for a nonprofit?
Yes, right now I'm under a umbrella.
Okay. We'll have to think about that. Let me think about that. You know what I mean, and stuff. So, because this is designation for for-profit businesses, you know. Now, the thing is, you know, you could have a nonprofit and a for-profit business as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you could look at the services that you're providing, and if there are some for-profit, you could register that separate, you know. We also, I assume for-profit also includes B corporations, benefit corporations.
Yes.
They're for-profit entities, correct?
Yes.
They
Yeah.
are, because they're LLCs.
They're
Yeah,
LLCs.
okay.
So,
Hey,
yeah,
recognize the
so
term
there is,
sheet.
there is
What was
under,
it?
if you want to be a for-profit company.
B is in
There's a
Lois.
structure now called,
Yes.
sorry. So as a for-profit company, there is a structure now called benefit corporation, right? It's an LLC, right? It's just And basically, it's like you're providing a benefit to the community, right? Now, so there's some guidelines you have to follow. It's actually not as complex as in this state now.
Well, we have benefit companies and we have B corporations.
Yeah.
They're both LLCs. Benefit companies is a self-certifying type thing, like kind of what we're talking about. And then there's the B Corp, which is a paid third-party certification for your LLC.
And
There's
it's
no
kind of
other
like
advantages yet in the
Yeah.
state.
It's kind of like a marketing, it's more of a marketing, there's no tax benefits, it's more of a marketing thing, like saying like made in America. You know, it's kind of like I'm putting out there that I'm a company that provides benefit to the community.
Right, no, I read about
I
that.
recycle, I pay minimum wage, you know, there's all these guidelines.
Yes.
But that might be something to consider, you know, if there's some services that you're providing benefit to the community, that you could register as an LLC, as a benefit company, and then you might be able to, you know, you can get certified because you are really a company, you know.
I'll make
so-
some phone calls and find out.
Yeah, so,
What type of business?
She's a nonprofit to help
Yeah.
people 17 and 24, single parents get
Oh, okay.
education.
so as you see, it's quite complex, you know, and lots of questions, but I did want to, we have a small group, so I did want to go around the table to see, you know, to move it forward. So one of the other things I want to bring to your attention we provide, and Judy does here as well, to our center, is we do a lot of one-on-one business counseling. So whether you're starting out your business, you come in and meet with myself or Wendy, it's just general business counseling. So once you've had one general business counseling session, and Jill has had many with us and else as well, what we have is a team of technical assistants. So we have a lady who helps our clients with digital marketing, right? She actually comes in on Fridays once a month. We have an attorney who helps people who have questions about counting. We have a HR girl who helps people if you're, you know, hiring your first employee, you know, what should I have in place? So what does a handbook look like? Or things like that. We also have, then we have diversity certification, and actually Avatar, Joanne and Marion, meet with clients to go through that process. So normally these appointments are an hour and a half. You have to schedule through us, and that will, you know, that might be a next step from today, is if you're interested in moving forward about getting a counseling appointment, yeah? So and therefore, we've had many clients over 2 years now. We've had many clients for their counseling appointments that you meet at their offices, which is in Wilkinsburg. A lot of our counselors come to our offices, which is on the corner of 5th and Penn Avenue. We do also do legal counsel, and we have 2 attorneys who do provide in-kind services to our center, and you meet with them at their offices. One is downtown, one is in the South Hills. And again, this is providing counsel. They don't develop their website, they don't do your bookkeeping, you know, and so it's just providing advice and counsel. And the attorneys will, you know, I usually say if you go and book a legal appointment, the attorneys are pretty straightforward. They'll tell you what they will and will not guide you on and guide us on. Because, you know, they're legal, they have to be careful what they provide. But yeah, it's a great service, so I consider, and what I'll do is, I'll go through the sign-in sheet for people who are today, I'll send you out how you do that, all right? Send you guidelines on how to do that. But, so we'll wrap up now. If you want to grab something else to eat, I'll give you a few minutes if you have questions as well.
You know what, I wanted to make a comment on,
We have
that
evaluations.
people need their letterhead so that when they send as part of their certification packets, when you say, I haven't been in business yet, but, you know, I haven't received any kind of income from my business, they want that on a letterhead. So I'm just saying that to say, I never would have thought until I talked with a printer that how important letterhead is.
Oh, right, okay.
Letterhead for your business.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so.
At least an image that you can put on a Word document too.
Yeah.
So we're just passing out evaluations. They're very important for us for you to fill out. Part of our training and our train money comes from the SBA. So this is all part of documentation to show we actually had the event. People came and they filled out an evaluation. So it's part of like when you say about certification, you get site visits.
Yes.
Well, we get site visits to the SBA. You know what I mean? So when they come and hang out in my office for a day and go through my filing cabinet. All
Make you want to cry, right?
Yeah. No, actually, I just go away. You know? So It is good that twice a year. The only benefit I get out of it is it actually makes me clear up my office and clean out my office and file everything correctly. So they're coming at the end of the month. So this is just part of the requirement. But I appreciate you taking the time out this morning for attending our workshop. I hope we was able to answer some questions for you. You know, and Joanne and Marion do a great job. They put a lot of detail together in these handouts. We did have we had 2 clients unfortunately who had to cancel. They had flooding in Millville. So she showed me pictures. They're still clearing out their houses. They were destroyed on it.
Do you think we can maybe do a session that just focuses strictly on Allegheny County?
Yeah, we can do that, yeah. So the PA, UCP, yeah.
Yeah, because everything is,
They do one-on-one appointments here.
They do one-on-one appointments, but you were talking, the challenge is sometimes